Bugonia is directed by Yorgos Lanthimos and is his fourth feature film with Emma Stone after The Favorite, Poor Things, and Kinds of Kindness. And here, two conspiracy-obsessed young men kidnap the high-powered CEO of a major company convinced that she is an alien intent on destroying planet Earth. But I'm also really excited for a new film coming out on November 14th, directed by Osgood Perkins, Keeper. James Wan says the film is a terrifying, ghostly descent into madness. Guillermo del Toro says Keeper is pure Perkins, horror origami that skillfully folds into itself. And Damien Leone says Perkins further establishes himself as a formidable voice in horror. From Osgood Perkins, the director of Longlegs and The Monkey, comes a new breed of nightmare. So don't miss the horror event of the season. Keeper opens in theaters nationwide November 14th. Be sure to check out Keeper in theaters. Once again, it is opening nationwide November 14th. Clearly, Yorgos has found an effective muse with Emma Stone, this being their fourth film together, and she won her second Oscar with his film Poor Things, and so obviously she likes working with him too. Jesse Plemons is back in this one, having worked together in Kinds of Kindness, and newcomer Aidan Delbis, in particular, really shines here. This film is disturbing in that it depicts two young people who can be so conspiracy obsessed to the point where they have read everything they could ever read online and believe that they know everything that the government doesn't want us to know, and they know about the weather patterns, and they know about what Earth actually is. There's of course a coming alien invasion, and there's all different types of things these guys know for a fact are true. Probably most of them are pretty absurd, but they believe wholeheartedly that Emma Stone is an alien, but in particular Jesse Plemons' character, and he manipulates the character Don to believe everything he says. And it's not only scary that he's able to so skillfully believe all of these things that he's read online, it's frightening in that you watch someone like Don give in to Teddy, as played by Jesse Plemons, and all of his strange thoughts and whimsies. And there's an aspect of the movie that is very sad as you watch poor Don fall down this horrible rabbit hole that Teddy has been consumed with already. And that's the aspect of the movie that I think is so dramatic and very powerful, but at the same time, Bugonia is absolutely hilarious. I laughed out loud so many times throughout this movie because it's not just the things they believe and the things that they say, it's Yorgos's way of exploring this side of humanity that is often disregarded and not really taken seriously. And if you were to take it seriously, it's impossible to not find the humor in the things they're talking about. Yorgos also likes to play around in the conspiracy world and things that are famous conspiracy theories over the past few years, namely that we live on a flat Earth. And there are cutaways in this film as we count down to a lunar eclipse, seeing the Earth from space, and it's definitely flat. But the things that Yorgos is interested in this movie go beyond just the hilarity of this actual situation. You've got a high-powered CEO who's tied up in a bed in a basement and two dudes living in the middle of nowhere trying to convince her that she's an alien, or at least get her to admit it. That part of the movie works really well, and I could totally see that actually being a very commercial comedy. But as the film begins to explore the characters' backstories, how they got there, what led them to this, especially Jesse Plemons' Teddy, and you find out the things that happened to him, the film becomes a cat and mouse game, but exclusively through dialogue, as she tries to wiggle her way out of this situation, and how they try to convince her, no, you really are an alien, but also how Teddy has to try to convince Don to stay with him on this crusade. Because it's very clear that Don is not comfortable with some of the more physical things that Teddy is doing, and Don doesn't necessarily want to be there during those moments of the film. And so Teddy has to not just convince Emma Stone that she's an alien, but he has to make sure that his partner sticks with him. And we've seen this dynamic in hostage situations before in movies where you have one person involved in the hostage taking that maybe feels a little more uncomfortable, and maybe the hostage can convince that person to come onto their side. But the way that this film handles that, I did not expect, and was very impressive. And the movie kept me on my toes because there were scenes where I began to believe Teddy wholeheartedly. He's so convincing, and Plemons is so good that you're kind of like, you know, the things he's saying kind of make sense. And that's what's so terrifying, I think, about modern day conspiracy theorists, is that it's so easy to be like, I buy it. And Emma Stone, too. There are scenes where I'm like, she's definitely not an alien. And then there are other scenes where I think to myself, man, that's a weird thing she just did. Maybe she is. And it's so great that you feel that way throughout this movie. You're never like He's crazy, she's right. There's always this really great balance between the two. I had a wonderful time with this movie. I liked it more than Kinds of Kindness. I don't know if I liked it more than Poor Things, but I really, really enjoyed this film. I thought it was so unique and, as usual, very bizarre for a Yorgos movie. But I mean, we've come to expect that if you're a fan of his. I really enjoyed watching it. I hope you guys check it out in theaters. Thank you so much, as always, for watching. And if you like this, you can click right here and get Stuckmanized.